Bienvenue à Coffee Break French.
Welcome to the Coffee Break French Show. Moi, je suis Pierre Benoît.
Et je suis Max. Comment ça va?
Ça va super. Et toi?
Ouais, je suis très content d'être là.
Moi aussi.
Encore un autre épisode du show avec toi.
Ouais, génial.
And in these weekly episodes, we are here to help you improve your French one coffee break at a time.
And if you're watching the video version, you can subscribe to our channel on YouTube. And if you're listening to the podcast version, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Super. Alors, Pierre Benoît, de quoi parle-t-on aujourd'hui?
Nous allons parler du passé composé et de l'imparfait.
Ou perfect tense and imperfect tense.
Yep.
Très intéressant. On y va?
Bah, c'est parti.
Allez, on va commencer. Alors, le passé composé, l'imparfait, two key tenses to tell a story, for example.
Yeah. In the past.
Oui, exactement, in the past. And the reason for this topic, it's very tricky to choose which tense to use when telling a story, for example. But most of the time, in all stories, you will have both the perfect tense and the imperfect. And we're going to try and identify together which situation triggers which tense.
Well done. Yeah, so let's review maybe how the passé composé, the perfect tense works, Max.
Yeah, more than how it works, let's focus on when it's triggered. If you're interested in how it works, there is a blog article with written notes that will tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, good.
But when we use le passé composé, the perfect tense, it's for a one-off action in the past, what we call also narrative events. So the events that make the story progress. And they are also completed actions.
Mm-hmm.
For example, j'ai mangé une banane.
So I ate a banana. That's it, finish. You're not eating it anymore. That's a past.
Exactly.
Yeah, super.
Or if you say, je suis allé au cinéma.
Yeah, I went to the cinema. You're not there anymore. It's all finished. It belongs to the past.
Exactement. And as opposed to the imperfect tense.
Yeah, so you would tend to use the imperfect tense when you're maybe describing an action in the past. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're also maybe talking about something that happened a long time ago and it was maybe a repetition. Okay, so
right.
When you used to do, you did it kind of repeatedly.
So the idea of a habit in the past.
Yep,
right?
A habit in the past. Okay, and maybe like when you're setting a scene. So you would be like saying, maybe I was at the beach when something happened.
Okay. So I can see the opposition between setting the scene and the narrative events.
Exactement.
Super.
So you've got, for example, if I said l'hôtel était grand.
Mm-hmm. The hotel was big.
That's my description.
Ouais.
Okay. Il y avait une piscine.
There was a swimming pool.
Très, très bien. If I said, quand j'étais jeune, j'allais chez mon grand-père le samedi. It's quite a long sentence, but let's go for it.
When I was young, so a long ongoing action, I used to go to my grandfather's every Saturday.
Yeah, every Saturday. It was every Saturday. Yeah. So that's how you would use the imperfect, Max.
Okay, so we also have sometimes, very often, the two tenses in one sentence.
Yes, you can have that if you've got an action that's ongoing. So you would use the imperfect, and then suddenly a short action, a one-off action comes to interrupt this long action. So that would be
so I could say, for example, I was watching TV, je regardais la télé, and that's an ongoing action.
Très bien.
And then the cut-off event.
Well, it could be quand tu es arrivé.
Quand tu es arrivé, when you arrive, when you got here.
So that would be the cutting off. Yeah, the moment.
Ouais, super.
Super, hein? Très bien.
Très, très bien.
Okay, Max, I think it's time for the challenge.
Oh, a little challenge for our learners.
Yeah, translation challenge. So I'm going to give you a sentence in English, and you're going to get a few seconds to translate it in French.
What's the sentence?
I was sleeping when he called me. Okay, so did you work out which tense? Max, how would you say I was sleeping when he called me in French?
I did. I worked it out. Je dormais, which is the ongoing action in the past.
Yeah.
Imperfect.
Yep.
Quand il m'a appelé, which is the narrative event changing the story.
Super. Super, bravo. Très, très bien. So you've got your imperfect, then you've got your perfect tense. Super. I think it's time to review maybe and recap what we've just seen.
That sounds useful.
When do you use the perfect tense? Well, it's one of action in the past, narrative events, completed actions. And we use the imperfect when you want to give a description, when you want to talk about an action that took place in the past and it was a repetition, it happened a lot. So that's basically.
Super. Excellent résumé.
Merci.
Now, there's also some cases that are very interesting.
Yeah.
That I find fascinating.
Yes.
I'm biased. For example, if you talk about your age in the past.
Oh, oui, je vois ce que tu veux dire.
The meaning is different whether you use the imperfect or the perfect. Very different.
Okay, can you give us an example, Max, please?
Bien sûr. So if I tell you quand j'avais, imperfect, 6 ans.
Okay.
What does it mean?
Was it when I was 6? But obviously it's quite a long period of time because if I'm not mistaken, it could last up to a year.
More or less a year, yeah, between the age of 6 and 7. But if I use the perfect tense, le passé composé, and I say quand j'ai eu 6 ans.
Ah oui, super. That was just on the day of the birthday.
Exactly. It's when I turned 6.
Oh, super.
So that's very different meaning.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point, Max.
And really shows the difference between the ongoing action for a year or the one-off event,
Super.
the day you turned 6.
Super. Très bien.
And there are also some situations where both could work. Like there's a bit of a gray area in the middle.
Yeah, the weather?
The weather, for example, yeah. So if you ask me what the weather was like during my week of holiday.
So you could say, il a fait beau or il faisait beau. Am I right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So you can focus on the whole week. The weather was nice, or the weather was nice in English. Both would translate the same.
Exactly. And that's why it makes it difficult when you translate back into French.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
So that's very interesting.
Super.
Sometimes it can be tricky to choose, even for native speakers.
Bien sûr.
Ouais.
Okay, c'est super.
Excellent. So I think we have it.
I think we've covered it all.
Super. Voilà, c'est tout pour aujourd'hui. I really hope you've enjoyed this lesson, that you found it helpful. If you're interested in seeing all the examples written down as well as some extra information, we put together a blog article. You will find the link to the article in the description of this episode.
Merci, Max. And if you'd like more help with your French and would like to receive regular free emails lessons, visit coffeebreaklanguages.com/French.
Exactement. So keep an eye in your inbox very soon.
Merci beaucoup, Max.
Merci Pierre-Benoît. Merci à vous, bien sûr.
Et puis à une prochaine fois.
Parfaitement. À la prochaine. Happy coffee breaking.
You have been listening to a Coffee Break Languages production for the Radiolingua Network. Copyright 2024 Radiolingua Limited. Recording copyright 2024 Radiolingua Limited. All rights reserved.